The Manitoba Métis Federation Homebuyers Plan. That is our topic on today's episode of Mainstream Mortgages Podcast. I'm Derek Vandell, and I'm joined as always by my business partners, Peter Paley and Colton Boudreau. Let's jump in. Peter, what is the Manitoba Métis Federation Homebuyers Plan?
This is an amazing grant program offered by Louis Riel Capital Corporation and the Manitoba Métis Federation. It'll provide up to 5% for your down payment, up to $18,000 maximum, and $2,500 for closing costs for Manitoba Métis citizens.
Okay, so it goes without saying that the people who are eligible for this type of program are Métis citizens. Colton, who else is eligible, or what types of Métis citizens might be eligible for the program?
Yeah, for sure. So you must be 18. Your household income has to be under 100,000. There are exceptions to be made, but that's decided by them. Liquid assets can only be 60,000, and that's including RSPs. And you have to be a first-time home buyer. They consider a first-time home buyer to be somebody who hasn't owned a home within the last 10 years. But if you are going through a separation or a divorce, they do make exceptions. And the caveat being is you should typically live apart for at least 1 year and have a finalized and notarized separation agreement.
Those are some good pieces of info right there. Peter, what types of homes might someone be eligible to buy under this program?
I think it's better if we talk about what's ineligible and then everything else is eligible. So we can't buy a mobile home that's on leased land or in a trailer park. You can't do any self-built constructions or progress draws. And you can't also purchase a life lease for those of us over 50 years old. Can't do that. So everything else is okay. So a house, condo, even a ready to move home, it's all eligible under the program.
Okay, and earlier you did mention that the program helps with down payment for Métis citizens, but Colton, how exactly does the program help with the down payment or the affordability of the mortgage?
Yeah, so what the program is enlisted to do is it provides up to $18,000 dollars towards the down payment or 5% of the purchase price, along with 1.5% of the closing costs, which or it caps out at $2,500. And that's to provide for affordability for Métis citizens. If they can't, reach that mark of savings or they need the extra little bit of a push, it provides this really good grant where they can now afford a home if they fit the criteria, of course.
Right. And what is some of that criteria, Peter, if you want to get into that?
So if you are a Métis citizen, you need to have your Manitoba Métis Federation card, and you also have to apply directly with Manitoba Métis Federation. There's a application program that or application process that you do have to go through. And it's also important to just throw in here, well, this money is provided as a grant. It is forgivable after 10 years, but you are going to be required to have some of your own money because closing costs of 2,500, like they're usually a little bit higher than that. And there is a legal cost because the grant does register itself in second position behind your mortgage lender. So there is an extra bit of legal cost when you are setting this program up.
Okay, and Colton, what would you say are some of the misconceptions that people have about this Manitoba Métis Federation first-time homebuyer plan?
I would honestly say that a lot of Métis citizens aren't even aware of the program.
Mhm.
We often find that we should ask the question just up front, and it might be a tricky question to ask, but there's no harm in it because we just had one, I think, 2 weeks ago where they were asking about that first time homebuyers grant that was issued a year or two ago. Um, that's no longer eligible, but they were Métis, so now they had an option here where if they fit the criteria, which they did, they were able to achieve, the grant.
Peter, did you have any other ideas on misconceptions that people have?
Well, I think that a lot of people don't realize that they could qualify for it. Like, Colton alluded to some exceptions. Like we've had clients whose household income has been slightly over 100,000. We've had people who had slightly more than $60,000 in liquid assets, but just because of the how they were invested, the exceptions have been made. So I think it's really important that even if you go on to the Manitoba Métis Federation website or Louis Riel Capital Corporation website and you go through the criteria, just because it doesn't seem you might not fit, you should at least approach them and see if an exception can be made for your individual circumstance. Because they're very willing to make this program a success, and they have been very willing in the past to make these exceptions. And I don't really can think of anybody who's come to us with any misconceptions, but I think getting awareness out there for people who do qualify for the program is really important because I think a lot of people don't really even understand it's there.
Yeah, and it is quite a great program. I know you mentioned earlier that the grant is registered as like a loan on the property, but it is a forgivable loan. And for anybody who's not sure what that is, basically just means if you live in the property for 10 years, then you don't have to pay it back. And it basically just comes off of the title of the property, right?
Yeah.
So, and I know you probably alluded to this a little bit earlier already, Peter, but Colton, how does this program work alongside a traditional mortgage?
Pretty easy. So certain lenders will allow this program, not all, of course, and we can do that, behind the scenes work and let you know which lender it fits with. Um, so basically, once you're approved, and all it takes to get approved with MMF is you contact them. As long as you have a Metis card, you provide some income docs like a letter of employment or T4s, pay stubs, maybe depends what they need at the time, along with notices of assessments to show that household income. They'll typically approve you within 5-ish business days, give or take. You provide that letter to us, and then we start your mortgage pre-approval off the basis of knowing you are qualified for the grant. So it is pretty seamless with a couple of our lenders. And of course, we let you know that, and we provide you the information required with using the grant with these lenders.
Okay, so the important distinction is that the MMF, they're not actually providing the mortgage, they're just providing the program to help you get a mortgage.
Correct.
Um, awesome. So Peter, what are some of the impacts that some like a Métis citizen might want to look out for as far as future planning with regards to financing or renewals or selling the home when
Sure.
they do go through this program?
So that grant's only repayable if you pay or if you sell the house or maybe get separated or something like that, and you would have to pay the full amount of the grant back if it's within the 10 years. However, it's really important to note that if you buy your first house and then maybe in 5 years you upgrade your home, this program can move with you to the new house. Like that grant will move with you and it will still be eligible to be forgivable in the original 10-year period of time. Um, Colton mentioned that first-time home buyer period for MMF was 10 years, but there are exceptions for divorce. And it's really important to know that when you get pre-approved for the program with MMF, you're pre-approved for 180 days or 6 months. So it gives you ample time to shop and come visit us at Mainstream Mortgages for your mortgage pre-approval.
That's a great segue into my next question for Colton. How can working with a mortgage broker help a Métis home buyer navigate the program successfully?
Well, one, we have lenders, like I mentioned, that can use the plan. Not all lenders can. So that helps. And then we can just provide the information required with using the MMF grant to purchase your first home, right? I mean, it's a tricky situation, some might think, but it's actually relatively easy once you're pre-approved with us and approved with the Métis citizenship to move forward with purchasing a home.
Along with all the other great benefits that everyone normally gets with working with a mortgage broker.
Yeah, of course.
Totally. Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, that's all I have to ask you guys. Peter, did you have anything you wanted to interject with? It looks like you do. I
Come
see the
on.
lips starting to move there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, ooh, pick me. So I just wanted to just underline the fact that you do need some of your own money whether it's being gifted from a family member or your own savings or whatever, because you're going to need to top up those closing costs. The $2,500 isn't enough. And you're also going to need, when you make the purchase, you're going to have to make a deposit. So that deposit's typically between $1,000 and $5,000, and most vendors these days are expecting to see at least $5,000 as a deposit, especially if you're in that first time home buyer market in for a starter home. And I just think another thing that I maybe should have added when you asked me a question previous is that if you're purchasing a home with your partner or spouse who isn't a Métis citizen, you can still include them on the application, and the MMF will consider full grant still.
Those are really great points. Thanks for interjecting there. I figured you'd have something to add.
Never
All
give
right, well,
up the
that's it.
microphone, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for watching or listening. And if you are a Métis citizen and you want some more information or need some help guiding you through the program, please let us know. Our email is greatrates@mainstreammortgages.com, and our phone number is 431-482-2187. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.